5 things every writer needs to know. Number 1. You guys ready for number 1? Number 1 is writing a book isn't rocket science. It's not rocket science. Writing a book is not rocket science, because if it were, there would not be thousands of books on Amazon shelves and on Amazon.com and at other booksellers, right? It just wouldn't be. People tend to really overanalyze the process of writing a book. No, it's not easy. No matter what people tell you, writing a book is not easy, but it's not extremely difficult either. It takes discipline, it takes time, and it takes effort. It takes discipline, time, and effort. But so does going to work every day. But millions of people get up and they do it, right? Because of discipline and because of time, the time and the effort that it takes. But people do it. They push past and they do it, right? So people do it every single day. You have to want it. You have to want it. In order to write a book, you have to want it. And you have to be writing about something that you are excited or passionate about in order to be able to stick with it. Because otherwise you won't follow through. You won't follow through with it. So many of you guys know that I host a writer's boot camp. Maybe like twice a year it's been now, a writer's boot camp. And some people make it through. And then there are a couple people who may not make it through or have not made it through. But that's because you have to want it bad enough, right? Some people do, some people don't. It's just like if you think about military boot camp. Everybody goes in swearing they're going to make it out, but some people make it through and some people don't, right? So if you're writing and you're not excited about it, or if it's not a priority for you, what should take maybe 3 to 6 months, depending on what you're writing, it can end up taking a year or 2 or 3 years, or it just remains and I really should do that, and it never gets done. And so that turns out to be the case for some people. But you have to want it. You have to be willing to stick in there. And I told people all the time, I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself. So you have to want to write it. But I assure you, it's not rocket science, because I don't know rocket science, and I've written several books. So, so I can assure you that. Okay, number two of 5 things every writer needs to know. Number 2 is nothing happens until you write. Nothing happens until you write. So people say to me year after year, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. You know, the one thing that stops most people from writing a book, the one thing that stops most people from writing a book is they don't write. Right? I told you it's not rocket science. The number one thing that stops people from writing a book is that they don't write. They don't write. Nothing happens until you write. That's the first step into writing a book. So people say, well, I don't know where to begin. Let me help that person too. If you don't know where to begin, just in case you're the person that's watching, let me ask you, when you think about writing a book, what comes to mind? When you think about writing a book, what comes to mind? Write that. That's what you write. So people were saying, I don't know what to write about. I'm not sure. I don't know what to write about. Think about it and then write what your thoughts are. And then when you finish writing that, something else will come to mind and you write that. It's called a writer's flow. You start writing and the writing will flow. And the important thing to know too is that everything does not have to be in sequence when you're writing. Some people get hung up on that and think, I have to write chapter 1, then chapter 2, then chapter 3. If you've written chapter 1 and you have an outline and you're stuck at chapter 2, but you know what's supposed to go in chapters 3 and 4, then write 3 and 4. Don't get hung up on that. It can be organized further down the line once you really get going. We can bring it all together. So, don't get hung up on, I'm just stuck because I don't know what chapter 2 is supposed to be. If you know what's at the end of the book, write that, but don't stop writing because you haven't figured out how to link it all together. Nothing happens until you write. That's number 2. Nothing happens until you write. So number 1 was writing a book is not rocket science. Number 2 was nothing happens until you write. And then number 3 is 2 parts. Number 3 is there are 2 things that you can never compromise on when writing a book. Number 1 is cover design. I tell people this all the time. You cannot skimp on your cover design. So, you know, when you meet somebody and you kind of size them up in maybe 30 seconds or less, like it's really quick. You look at somebody, you can tell a lot about them. We do it in about 30 seconds or less, I think it is. And you determine whether or not you want to engage further, right? Well, I believe that the same thing happens when you see a book cover. It first has to be engaging enough for you to even approach it. Then it has to be intriguing enough for it to make you want to pick it up. If it is engaging and intriguing on sight, then the person will naturally want to turn it over and read the synopsis on the back cover, right? You've probably done this before. And then if you're enticed by that, you'll take it one step further and you'll open it up and you'll see what the table of contents says, right? And then if that is exciting, they'll make a purchase. My point is that there's a lot riding on the design of your book cover. So if you're not gifted in that area, you need to find a graphic artist and let them make your work shine. So that's the first thing of the 2 things that you never want to compromise on when writing a book. I personally have picked up books and purchased it just because I like the book cover. And you guys may have heard me tell this story before. It's, a guy, he's my friend here on Facebook, Daryl Cater. I met him years ago, him and his wife, and we were at a book signing together when our first books were released. And his book cover was so beautiful that I just bought the book because I like the book cover. That happens. So your book cover design is something you absolutely cannot skimp on when you become a writer. It's one of the investments you have to make. The second one in the 2 things you should never compromise on when writing a book is editing. Editing. That person just spent their hard-earned money purchasing your book, right? They open it up. They get to page 5 and there's an error, right? Everybody, you know, the first error, everybody's like pretty lenient. We all give people grace, right? So that first error, you're like, okay, that was just an error. So then you go maybe 10 pages in and you get to another error. Well, now you're like, you start taking notice, right? So this is about the time when myself, I usually pull out a highlighter because I figure there are more along the way. I just do. It's sort of like seasoned speakers, like people who speak for a living or people who have been in Toastmasters or something like that. It's sort of like people who count the ums during a speech. You do it subconsciously, like because you're now paying attention to the fact that the person is saying so much. So it's like the same thing with the errors, as I said, it's the same thing with the errors in the book, right? So 1 error, 2 error, you could probably get through, but by the 3rd error, people are like starting to take notice. So now the content in the book starts to get lost. You know, the focus is off of the great content that you put in the book because of the errors, because you're subconsciously waiting for the next error to pop up. So you don't ever want to skimp on your editing, right? I read a book one time that I tell you had more than 20 errors in it. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. It had more than 20 errors in it. I eventually contacted the person that wrote the book to tell them pretty much because they had asked me for my opinion and I didn't know the person really well, but I contacted the person and I said, look, you really need to fire your editor and ask for a refund. So they were like, why? What's going on? So I told them, I was like, your book is full of errors. Your book is full of errors. And so then he asked me, well, can you tell me what they are so that I know, so when it goes to, the second run, we can correct the errors. And I told him it's way too many errors for me to verbally tell you over the phone. It's just too many. I said, but I tell you what I'll do. Because I had highlighted the errors, I told him, I said, I will send you the book back. The book I paid for, I will send it back to you with all the errors highlighted so that you can get this fixed. Like from one fellow author to another, I want your book to be successful. And right now your book has over 20 errors in it. No lie, guys, like over 20 errors. And so I gave it back. I sent it. I said, give me your address and I will mail the book back. So I highlight all the errors were highlighted in there. I send them the book back. And if I remember correctly, I think it was like 26 errors in the book. And so anyway, I send him the book back. He does his second run, gets a new editor, has the second edition printed. Book was much better. And then I ended up in the acknowledgments. He acknowledged me. So first, it takes a big person to accept that type of criticism from somebody you really don't know, because I really didn't know this guy that well. But, but for the fact that he was a fellow author, and I thought he should know that his book had that many errors on it, because he obviously didn't proof it after it came back from the editor. So that was horrible. But anyway, so that's a long story about why you're editing, why you cannot skimp on your editing. So that was the two things that you can never compromise on when writing a book, was the cover design and the editing. So we are on number 4. Are we on number 4 already? Yeah, we're on number 4 already, because number 1 was writing a book isn't rocket science. Number 2 was nothing happens until you write. Number 3 was the two things that you can never compromise on when writing a book, which is the cover design and the editing. And now number 4 is you do not have to be perfect to be a writer. Now you're probably saying, wait a minute, because you were just talking about the errors and the cover design not looking a mess and how horrible all of that stuff is. But even with that said, you do not have to be perfect to be a writer. That is what great editors and writing coaches are for. You just need to write. Now, of course, you should do your due diligence and at least use spell check before you send it off. At least use spell check before you send it off. But then you can let the experts handle the rest, right? I know a couple of weeks ago, I shared with you guys some stuff about the book 50 Shades of Grey, the 50 Shades of Grey series. And I know I might lose some of my super deep people here, because like, oh my gosh, he's talking about 50 Shades of Grey. But anyway, when 50 Shades of Grey was written, it was self-published, and it was horribly written. Can you believe that? The series, the first book, was horribly written. But it just made a few weeks ago over $40 million in a weekend at the box office. Now, of course, we had, Black Panther that came out and like shattered all kinds of records. But anyway, that's a great number, right? But it has topped the bestsellers list around the world, selling over 125 million copies worldwide by June of 2015, back when it was out. And it's been translated into 52 different languages and set records, everywhere, as the fastest, in the UK, as the fastest selling paperback of all times, right? So let me tell you some of the things that the critics said about that first book in 50 Shades. They said, I have never read anything so badly written that got published. The New Zealand Herald stated that it will win no prizes for its prose. They were just trashing the book. Metro News Canada wrote, suffering through 500 pages of this heroine's inner dialogue was torturous. So here's what I'm saying, guys. You don't have to be perfect in order to write a book, right? This book turned into a series that is now a blockbuster, movie and all sorts of things. It started with a terribly written manuscript that got published and then got picked up and then got better and better and then got picked up by Hollywood, right? So don't discredit yourself. A lot of people say to me, well, I don't really know how to write and it just a whole bunch of excuses, but it really doesn't take perfection. None of us are perfect. Just write. Just write. And let the editors and the writing coaches help you out with the rest of it. Okay? So that was number 4. You don't have to be perfect in order to be a writer. Number 5. This is number 5, guys. And then we'll do the reveal. Number 5. Well, actually, there's 2 bonuses after 5. But anyway, number 5 is readers make the best writers. Readers make the best writers. So, of course, we know that reading builds vocabulary. That's something we've learned over the years. It lets you see different styles of writing. It expands your mind. So I would challenge you to read something different from what you're used to reading. Read different genres of books. So if you always read self-help, pick up a novel. And vice versa. If you're always reading novels and don't ever pick up self-help books, do that. Pick up somebody's autobiography, or you get the point. Just read something different. Read a thriller. Just read something different every once in a while than what you're used to reading, because it just it offers you something different. And it opens you up to different perspectives. I can remember in a writing class I took once with a very diverse group of people. And it was so exciting because I got to see each reader's submission, because we would swap stories and stuff. And it was just really great. It was really a mind opener and an eye opener for me to see the different types of writing styles. And so you should really, if you're planning on being a great writer, you should be an avid reader. Okay? And so here's my 2 bonus tips. I got a bonus tip for the person that wants to write fiction, and a bonus tip for people who want to write nonfiction. Did I do that the right way? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So the first one is, the way you start a book and end the book determines the success of that book and future books. Okay? The way you start a book and the way you end a book determines the success of that book and future books. Kimberly, what are you talking about? The beginning of the book should make you want to keep reading. You know, when you read the beginning, it should make you want to turn the page and keep reading. So at the end of chapter 1, you should be dying to flip the page to get to chapter 2. At the end of the book you're reading, you should be dying to get to the next book that writer publishes. So that's how you want to write, because you want to engage your audience and entice your audience to be able to, or to want to see more, right? So that's how you sell more books and keep people engaged with you as an author. So you want to make sure that the beginning of each chapter and the end of each chapter is a bang, right? Come in with a bang, go out with a bang. And then you want to make sure the beginning of your book and the end of the book does what? Bang, right? You want to keep your readers coming back. You want to keep them engaged. So pay close attention when you're writing to how you start the beginning of a chapter, how you end the chapter, making people want to go on to the next chapter. And then the same thing for the book as a whole, making people want to pick up the next thing that you write. Now for the other one, for the nonfiction books, personal stories will always draw the reader in. That's what I'm trying to say. Brain freeze. Personal stories will always draw the reader in. So authenticity, we know, has been a buzzword like for a very long time. Authenticity is the thing, right? People want to be able to relate to you. So the best way to give your reader, that is through personal experiences. Because when people are reading, they want to be able to relate to the story that you're telling. So that tip is, don't be afraid to share the real you when you write. Okay? So that was the 5 things every new writer needs to know, and the 2 bonus tips for my nonfiction and fiction writers. So the first one was, writing a book isn't rocket science. If it were, there would not be thousands of books on the shelves, right? And the second one, number 2, was nothing happens until you write. So stop overthinking the process. Just start writing, because nothing happens until you write. The third one was the 2 things that you should never skimp on when you're writing a book, or never compromise on when you're writing a book, which was the cover design and the editing. And then the fourth one, number 4, was you don't have to be perfect to be a writer. That's what the editors and the coaches are for. You just need to write. And then number 5 was readers make the best writers. So if you really want to be a great writer, then go read something and keep reading. And then my bonus tips for fiction and nonfiction was the way you start a book and end the book determines the success of that book and future books. And then personal stories will always draw the reader in. So I hope that was helpful to you guys, those 5 tips of everything a new writer needs to know. So hopefully that was helpful, and you guys will take that and ponder it and help, and hopefully it helps you in your writing. And so now, drum roll, now is the time for the big reveal. The big reveal. Okay, guys, I'm not going to sing, right? Thanks, Michelle. Not going to sing, but now's the time for the big reveal. So I know that you guys have been seeing my hashtag Peek-a-Boo, right? And my little teasers that I've been sending out and everything. And I'm just super, super excited. So today is the day. It's reveal day, like right now. So drum roll, please. You guys know I'm crazy, right? That's my drum roll. You guys drum rolling with me? Drum roll. You guys ready? So if you're ready, type you're ready. Are you still with me? Say ready, type ready. Are you guys ready for the reveal? Are you ready? Somebody type ready. Type ready. Okay, so I started writing. Hey, Desbra. Oh, Michelle said ready. Yay, Michelle is ready for the news. So I started writing over 12 years ago. I know, right? Wow! 12 years ago. And when I wrote my first book, I really thought that that was the one and only book, because I did not consider myself a writer. So over 12 years ago, I started writing. Since then, I've written 8 books, and 7 of them have published. 1 was a workbook for the mentoring program. So that's the only one that's not published and on Amazon. But it's coming soon, because I'm getting ready to do something with that as well. But that's a whole different story. So I have also helped a lot of other people write amazing books through one-on-one mentoring and through my group coaching sessions, with my youngest author being just 9 years old. So those of you, like, really? 9. My youngest author that I coached and she published her book was, believe, 9 years old. 9 years old. Dream big, never small. She was inspiring and still inspiring people from that young age. And then my oldest client to date was in her 70s. So it's never too late. It's not too early and it's not too late. So we can erase that as an excuse. But just before I flew to Maryland last month for the launch of my latest release, A Threefold Cord Broken, What Happens When Christian Marriages Fail, God began to show me my work. I was minding my business. You know how God just kind of tap you on your shoulder? So I was minding my business. I was laying on my bed, just relaxing, when out of nowhere, like, God prompted me to write it all down. Write it all down. There were some projects that I was surprised to recall. Like, I had kind of forgotten that I had done those things. But sometimes in our quest to succeed, we often overlook, or we seldom look back on our past achievements and our past accomplishments. And so that's something that, we all need to do from time to time, lest we forget, all the things that God has blessed us for before now. And when I was looking over the list, there was one thing that God showed me that was missing. It's like I had written many books and I had helped all of these people to do the same, but my brand wasn't anywhere on them. And I was really okay with that up to now, until God was like, no more. It's time. It's time for you to release your name out into the world. So I'm thinking, like, for all of 2 seconds, like, what does that mean? And only 2 seconds, because he quickly answered. So the next thing that I wrote on the paper was LaBoo Publishing Enterprise. Can you stand it? LaBoo Publishing Enterprise. And so I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I looked at it again. And then I started crying. And then I looked at it some more, because it was blowing my mind, right? I'm like, okay, God, what? And, and then I got excited. I started to get excited about it. And then I set out about my Father's business to just go make it happen. During Bible study last night, we had a Bible study last night with using Priscilla Shirer. Hopefully I say her name right. The War Room lady. You guys know her from War Room. She has an awesome Bible study called Discerning the Voice of God. And so during the Bible study last night, she said there are some things that God will whisper to you and you don't have to think about it. You just have to do it. And for me, this was one of those things. And so hearing that even just last night was confirmation for me. Some of you know that last year was my year of reclaiming my name after 28 years. Like, I cannot tell you how enormous the feeling of legacy is. And for me, this feels like legacy. And that's my word for 2018 is legacy. If I told you like how enormous this feels for me, I would probably start crying. And so I'm not going to like go all deep and get into my Oprah ugly cry tonight. But this is huge for me. LaBoo is my family name, and LaBoo is a name that I wear proudly. And I know, with this, that my biological father is smiling down on me from heaven, because he was one heck of a businessman and always wore his name so proudly, always wore our family name so proudly. And I intend to do the same. And I also know that my heavenly Father is smiling down on me with this one, because I heard him say it, and I'm just moving in obedience on this one. Yeah, so it's here. Like LaBoo Publishing Enterprises, I moved to start this business venture, and that's what I'm doing, LaBoo Publishing Enterprises. So guess what, guys? The website is up. And I'm going to invite you guys to go check it out. To go check out the website. And the website is LaBooPublishing.com. Very simple. LaBooPublishing.com. So you guys can check out the website, learn more about the publishing company, and this whole exciting endeavor as we, launch out into the world with this. This is legacy for me. This is legacy for my family. I'm just so excited about this, and just so honored that God would choose me. I said I wasn't gonna get all deep with y'all tonight, but it's just, sometimes the thought of it overwhelms me. I'm not going to lie, because this is an arduous task, but I'm ready for it. I set about, getting the business set up and making it a legit business, not a play. This is not a game for me. It's not a game for me. So I've assembled an amazing team, and we're ready to be your one-stop shop for taking your book ideas from concept to creation. I'm just so honored to be walking this one out. Like really honored with this one, and I'm just really stoked about it. And so yes, Michelle says I need to start writing. Yes, Thank you, Monica, for the congratulations. But I want you guys to check out the website. Let me know what you think, if what you think is good. If you didn't catch that, think about it. But yeah, so I want you guys to check it out, laboopublishing.com. So if somebody can type that in for me, LABOO publishing.com, laboopublishing.com. And so I invite you guys to check out the website. And like I said, let me know what you think. If what you think is good, that would be awesome. That would be really awesome. So I'm excited to open it up to you guys. I'm excited to share. And there are many great things that are going to come down the pike with this. And I'm excited to begin. Well, I've already been working with authors, which is the exciting thing, is that now, thank you, Demetrius, is that the exciting part about it for me is now that, even with like the book coaching programs, like I would bring the people in, I would coach them, and I would tell them where to go. It stops here now with Laboo Publishing Enterprise. Like, we can take it from start to finish. So we can start with the book, you can coach you through the writing process, and then I can actually publish you with Laboo Publishing Enterprises. So I'm just so excited. So the cover design that we talked about, the editing that we talked about, the book coaching that we talked about to get you from start to finish, we can do it all right here at Laboo Publishing Enterprise. So I'm excited, guys. I'm just so excited. So excited. Thank you, Sandra. So yeah, thank you, Mary, for putting that in there. There you go, guys. Is www.laboopublishing.com. So just take a minute, check out the website, and yeah. So that's the big reveal. Laboo Publishing Enterprise is up and running and ready to just take some people from get it out of your head and get it in print so you can impact the world like you were meant to impact it. And it's time to stop playing small, guys. Time to stop playing small. I'm excited. We will operate in excellence. And here's the one thing, like, I've published many books, and I've used several different publishing companies, and there are things that I've learned. How do I want to put it? I've learned what to do, and I've also learned what not to do. And so over this long journey of this 12 years in this whole writing game and everything, I've really learned some things. And so that's the stuff that I want to be able to pass on. And I'm taking into account, those things that I've learned along the way of what to do and what not to do, to be able to, be there for our clients and to make it a seamless process from start to finish for our writers. And so that is the goal. So now, next up, I want to invite you guys to my free webinar, because you might be thinking, I've always wanted to write a book. Desiree says, I'm ready to write. I have your title. Yes. Yay. So you might be thinking, like, I've always wanted to write a book, but I just don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready. So I want to invite you to my free webinar. Somebody say free, free, type in free. Somebody say free. It's a free webinar called Why Now is the Perfect Time to Write Your Book. It's in 2 weeks from today, on March the 15th. Are you guys there? It dropped out on me for a second. Yay, Michelle said free, right. So there are some significant reasons why you should not delay in writing your book. And you need to hear what they are. So the link for the webinar, you guys ready for the link? We're going to put the link in the comments as well. bit.ly.com, make sure I get this right, bit.ly.com/write now webinar. So write, like writing, write now webinar, bit.ly.com/write now webinar. The date is March the 15th. So 2 weeks from today, free webinar. Why now is the perfect time to write your book. So you can sign up at bit.ly.com//write now webinar. And so hopefully that's going to pop up in the comments in a couple minutes. And if not, I'll post it myself as soon as I get off. But bit.ly/rightnowwebinar. So you click on that, and then about a week or so out, you'll get the full details, so how you can log on to the webinar. And so we're going to have a great time, guys, there. And also for the people who sign up for the webinar, there are some bonuses attached at the end from LaBoo Publishing Enterprise. So you don't want to miss the webinar. Make sure you sign up. See, that's why I had to have her put it in there. bit.ly/rightnowwebinar. There you go. There you go. So now you guys have the link to sign up for the webinar. I'm going to put up an events page as soon as I get off from here, so you guys can click and I can see who's coming, and I'll put the registration link in there as well. And remember, I said there's going to be bonuses from LaBoo Publishing Enterprise for those people who join me on the webinar for why now is the perfect time to write your book, because it really is. But there's some things that are in play that you just probably don't even realize or recognize as to why now is the perfect time to write your book, and why, we just can't stop. We just can't keep sitting on our dreams and our goals and our visions. We just can't. So guys, that is it. You have your 5 things that you need to know. You got the reveal of LaBoo Publishing Enterprise, which I'm super excited about. You got the webinar. You got the link for the webinar, which just posted again. Carolyn, never in a million years would I throw you away, darling. I'm excited about what you have coming too. You can do it. I know you can. Oh, thank you, Desiree. She said you're awesome. That was so nice. But yeah, so that's it for tonight, guys. You got your 5 things every writer needs to know. And then you guys can join me on the webinar in 2 weeks for some juicy, juicy tips. Now, I do realize that that's the week of daylight savings time. So it'll be the same time for you guys, but it'll be 3 o'clock for us, because we don't do daylight savings time here. So anyway, the details will be at that link, bit.ly/rightnowwebinar, right, WRITE, not the other right now webinar. Right? So do you guys have any questions for me right now before we wrap it up? If you have any questions that you'd like to ask right now, I could take maybe 2 or 3 questions, because if not, I'm going to say bye-bye for now. Don't forget to check out the website, LaBoo Publishing Enterprise. Let me know what you think. You're welcome, Michelle. And then register for the webinar so that you can find out about that. And Michelle say, I'm sure I'm going to bombard you later. That's quite all right. I'm excited. And also the email address is staff@laboopublishing.com. So if you think of a question that you have and you want to send an email, is staff@laboopublishing.com. But you can also get to that from just visiting the website, laboopublishing.com. And you can get that information there. So take a look at the website, guys. Let me know what you think, if what you think is good. Take care and be blessed, guys. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast this evening. I've had loads of fun. Thank you for sharing in my excitement. Thank you for celebrating with me. I'm telling you, like, I have the most amazing, like, cheerleaders. I really do. And I'm just really so grateful for that, because I know some people don't have great cheerleaders around them. And I really do have a support system and great cheerleaders and friends that are around me that hold me up, and they support me, and they get excited with me, and excited for me. And so it's just really been an absolute pleasure to share with you guys this evening. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to those of you who always support me. And like I said, are just always my greatest cheerleaders and always have my back. So I thank you so much, because you make my journey so much better. I love you guys. Thank you so much, Mary, for putting the links up and the email address. I appreciate you. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Stay tuned for more. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye-bye.